organizational design in the international context really differs from domestic somewhat. The main difference is that there's so much more complications because you're dealing with a global enterprise trying to span multiple borders and trying to look at all the different variables that happen between them. And as you know, there'll be a lot of differences between just one country versus another country, one country versus another, even if the one country is a teeny tiny country the size of New Jersey, or a larger country the size of California, or a giant country the size of the United States or China. So when we look at organization design, there is no one strategy fits all solutions. You have to be open-minded, and really, there's a couple of factors we'll be talking about really in the process, because of the fact there's some things that are constant to look at, but you may have to juggle them in a different sequence or order to achieve your ultimate goal. In 2018, Walt Disney made a major reorg, and it was based upon trying to improve the company's global reach. The parks, experiences, and customer product segments encompass a whole series of things, including the products, the retail, and the e-commerce, really to focus in on global branding because of huge competition on the aspect of all the technology between Amazon, Apple, and Netflix. It complicated their efforts, so they had to focus in and target in on all the aspects and the inroads made by the other companies on the e-commerce side. So Disney now has an enhanced focus on technological innovations and structured to really focus on consumer choice, personalization, and convenience, primarily because of the fact we are all focusing from face-to-face experiences to online experiences. In the process, Disney also closed dozens, maybe even hundreds of regional retail outlets as they go through, because you can buy the same product online as they go through. A major restructuring, sometimes even to some of the best run companies, you have to sit down there and pay attention really on the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and look what's out there as you go through. So we look at organizational design. It's about what we do. We want to determine how the company should be organized to make certain that all the worldwide activities are integrated into an efficient and effective manner. And sometimes the integration shifts a little bit because of technology, or you have a country that actually has wild runaway inflation, or you have a military dictatorship takes over, or you have a supply crunch as you go through, or maybe over demand and you can't meet it as you go through, or maybe a lack of supplies to actually create and fulfill existing demand. So then you have to sit down and remesh the stuff as you go through because of the fact that the world changed, you must change as you go through. So two factors to face: finding the most effective way to take advantage of the specialization of labor, because we're now having countries specializing labors. One country specializes in the making of shoes, and another one specializes in the making of apparel. Really, it's almost a country-specific thing over in Asia. We start focusing on that. So decide where you're going to shop, sometimes based upon the product that you want to sit down and create. The other one is coordinate your activities to make certain you meet the overall demand. There's four elements really to look at when designing structure. Now, they'll vary in size and scope depending upon your organization, but make sure you know these four, because they are across the entire spectrum. They will have an impact on any and all organizational structures. The product and technical expertise, that really is the management aspect of it. The geographic expertise, which can play a huge, huge role, because of the fact geography over in Europe is dramatically different than that in Asia versus that of Eastern Europe as you go through the process. So the customer experience is a big deal. The functional experience. So these four expert things, the expertise of product, geography, customer, and the function of the organization, they will all play a role as to how you'll consider the way you design an organization. Here's another background of it to those four components: the international, the competitive environment, and then the organizational structure as you go through in the process. So here is an international division structure as you go through. Overseas operations to grow your company, what eliminates divisions. So it bases the whole thing upon those four components we talked about: product, region, function, customer class as you go through. So think about the main weaknesses and strengths of an international division as part of the overall company structure when it comes down to it. International, is it just one international segment in one city, in one part of Europe, one part of Australia, one part of China, one part of really the Asian market as a whole, or do you have to have separate as you go through? You always have to have this human element as you go through. There's a lot of people that when they become the new CEO or the new chief of an area, they want to leave their mark on the organization. And by that, let me give you a bit of cynicism in the aspect of what I call the organizational wave. It's cycles of centralization, decentralization. Centralize, 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 that we can have a lot of cost savings by centralized purchasing, centralized decision making, and make certain uniform decisions. Decentralize, 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 make certain you make your decisions to the people closest to the customer. There's a wave, and organizations will go through it, this whole mantra of, I'm in charge now, so we're going to focus in on the customer experience. We're going to decentralize over here. And you'll hear the whole dogma change of the company, customer, customer. And then the next CEO comes in and they say, whoa, we have so many decisions being made and there's no uniformity. Let's centralize, 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 to sit down and take advantage of larger standards and larger quantities as you go through, and reduce the span of control down to something smaller as you go through the process. Let's go ahead. You'll have these waves of the human element of the design because you want to make it their company. So whenever you have a new CEO or a new upper administration of a company, when it comes through, just be prepared that change is going to happen because they'll always want to make it their company and leave their mark as they go through. It's just part of the nature of the human element as you go through. Here's a series of different aspects of organizational design, and you'll see the matrix as you go through, and even the words, they'll change a little bit, but these are some of the major organizational designs that I went out scouring that are past the textbook we use for this course. Here's one that uses 5 practices. People, which actually makes a lot of sense, and people also would be cultural in that specific geographical region. Organization, roles, process, and mission. Here's another one: culture, leadership, decision-making, people, work process systems. These are both different aspects of pretty much similar things, but how they structure them. Somebody else, a consultant came in, they paid them $1 million for each one of these things. This is the best one for you. And you know what? It might be, but then the consultant comes in afterwards, they say something similar. They just have a prettier picture when it comes down to it. Here's another one: the corporate capabilities, the competencies of the organization, the interaction between management and the customers, define the roles and responsibilities, make certain there's a clear career pathway for all your employees, and make certain you have the appropriate compensation and incentives for each geographical. It sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So this is a different organizational design, but we go through, you'll see here, there's 1, 2, 3, and you're all really dealing almost the same different aspects of it. You're dealing with different ways of putting together product and technical expertise, geographic expertise, customer expertise, and the functional expertise. So you'll see these 4, they'll pivot, they'll change, we may relabel them in the process as you go through, but these will dominate as you go through. You'll also see references to people, because people, at the end of the day, almost all business really deals with the relation between the company and the people or their customers that they're dealing with at the end, and the roles of the people. And a lot of it is leadership perspectives as to what is filtering up and what colored glasses is the leadership wearing. Are they rose colored? Are they blue colored? Are they yellow colored? Whatever color they are, that they see the company as to how they want that, and also how they're visualizing the future, and are they bringing the whole culture along as you go through the process. So organizational design is going to have these 4 main elements, but you'll see them pivot, change, and twist between organizations as to how they define them to fit their own internal matrix. Take care.